This summer, I'm sure everyone would agree, was unforgettable. The heat dome causing record high temperatures and 815 deaths in BC, across BC. It's one of the 3 worst fire seasons we've had, all of them in the last 5 years, which means that we can expect more of them. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change brought out its report last month, and among other things, they said that global temperatures have increased by 1.2 degrees, and that they are very likely to blow by 1.5 degrees, which has been agreed on internationally is the safe limit. And as you can see, we're not there yet, and it's already not so safe. They said that the quicker we can bring human-caused emissions down to net zero, the less severe will be the consequences. The International Energy Agency in May of this year declared that there should be no more oil and gas exploration and no more natural gas or LNG projects. Okay, so this is not some left-wing fringe group. The agency was set up in 1974 after the oil shortages of 1973. It includes 36 countries, including Canada, the US, China, Europe. So it's not a fringe group. How did we get here to this point? So I'm just going to give you a very brief history of some of the things that are kind of heartbreaking at this point. James Hansen, a NASA scientist, testified before Congress in 1988, that's 33 years ago, that it was 99% certain that the temperatures on the planet were increasing, and it was due primarily to human activity because of the increase of greenhouse gases. At that point, the CO2 concentration in the air was well above what it had been historically. It was at 352 parts per million. What happened? Why did the world not move? Well, the main reason, as far as I can see, is that the fossil fuel industry waged a billion-dollar campaign to seed doubt as to whether climate change was actually happening. And they also donated an awful lot of money to conservative, and I use that with a small c, conservative politicians in many countries. And it became a political issue. And it still is today. The writer Upton Sinclair said it best, that it's very hard for a man to understand something when his paycheck depends on him not understanding. And I think that's a lot of what we have. I listened to one of the most powerful Republicans in Congress 3 weeks ago talk about, well, it was a long interview, but she was asked about climate change. And it was very clear from her answer, she had no understanding at all of climate change, wasn't really interested, and felt that the fossil fuel industry was critical to the US and would be forever. So that just goes to show you that we're not all in agreement, and that is part of the problem. From 2006 to 2015, we had a Harper government, conservative government here, who one of their lines was that because Canada is only responsible for 2% of our global carbon emissions, that we weren't really that important. It's the height of irresponsibility from a country that is one of the richest in the world. If we can't start being leaders, then who can? In 2015, the Liberal government got in, promising to do more, to do something about climate change, to take it seriously. Since then, the last 6 years, Canada's carbon emissions have not gone down. And we've gone globally from 400 parts per million in 2015 to now 416 parts per million. It keeps going up. We've known for more than 30 years that greenhouse gases are increasing relentlessly. Primarily methane and carbon dioxide absorb heat radiating from the earth, and therefore slow heat loss, causing the temperature to go up. It's been a good thing for all of the past history of humanity because, and not just humanity, all the creatures that lived here before us, because it kept our temperature moderate. But as they go up, we're getting more heat and more energy into global climate systems, meaning more extreme events. Another way to look at it is that planet Earth is sick, it has a bad fever, and if we don't deal with the causes, her illness will cause increasingly violent symptoms, and that's what we don't want. We need governments at all levels to show leadership. We need us, the citizens, to make it crystal clear that we are ready to make the changes in our lives, and we need governments to be bold, to be leaders in this time of crisis. In Seth Klein's new book, A Good War, he lays out a roadmap. Canada was able to totally revamp our economy and our way of life in the first few months of World War II. We can do it again, and we must. I don't want to go into all the things that we need to do. I think some of them are very obvious, but I'll just mention a few of the maybe slightly less obvious things, and that includes forestry. We need massive changes in the way we do forestry. Part of the reason we have these fires isn't just climate change, it's also the condition of our forests. We need to totally change our agricultural policy so that our soils can return to health and store way more carbon than they are now. We also need, and this is the touchiest point for all of us, I think, we need legislation, we need regulations, we need encouragement to end something that started in 1945, and that's the consumer society. We need to stop consuming so much because we are choking on waste, and it is one of the huge causes of our use of energy. None of us knows how the climate crisis will end. It will end. We do know that if we don't make some radical changes, it's going to end badly. The actions of each one of us is important, and I think it's important to look around here now, because we're not going to be able to deal with this on our own. We need support. We need to do this in conjunction with other people. We need to create community. We need to be, we need to recognize that this is going to be a very difficult time. In the election, I encourage everyone to look carefully at the party platforms and at the local candidates. Look for climate champions. There are some in most of the parties, as well as look at the policies of the parties and make sure that you vote. And I'll just say one last thing. If we don't make the changes now, then when? We are at that point. Thank you.